long piece. So 3, 2, 1.
So is this good?
Go.
All right, we're back. Milos, we're back, man. 84. I actually was going to let you announce it. What number is it?
I don't know, but now that you said it, 84. Yeah.
Are we talking about him or his age?
Because, listen, you guys mentioned me last time, and I actually copied it. I was going to post it on Instagram.
What did I say?
You gave me a credit that
journal
you were
was
impressed.
Outstanding.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
you didn't even search through my log. If you did, you would be more impressed.
I'm going to put you on the spot right now.
Mm-hmm.
I want copies of these so we can go publish them, and I'll give you like 2 or 3% of the proceeds.
Thank you.
No, for
You're
real
so
though.
kind.
You should put them out there. I think people would buy them.
I know, but since when I was a businessman, no, this is my private stuff.
Well, then let us borrow your private stuff. We'll
I'll
make
give
copies.
it to you.
Okay. No.
Listen, this is how it started. I gave it to Nasser or somebody first. He said, "Can I take that home?" I said, "Take it." And then he came back convinced that I didn't trick him. Then I had a couple of guys actually that asked me for 97 and 99, which I gave them. And years later, they could only find 97. So 99 is still missing. And that was my good year. That's a year when I dominated you. I mean,
we always come back to this. Now, listen, we want to thank you for coming on the show. I know you're on a lot of media, and we have a lot of things to cover. But I want to start first with Gustavo Badell. So we lost him a week or so ago. And it kind of took me back a little bit because Gustavo is very similar to my age. He was a guy that I just actually was speaking about as someone who was a threat to me. And he became friendly with me because, as everyone recognizes, he jumped on me, because that was like a respect thing. I think he always respected me. And going back, I didn't realize, I thought about it, after all this. And you start thinking back, and it's sad that we use the opportunity of someone passing away to really start reminiscing more and talking about someone who was a good man, right, and a fierce competitor and driven. I'll never forget when he won the Ironman for the first time. What year was that? 04?
2005.
Okay. Yeah. You're like, this guy is very, very hungry, very determined. Which was a little threatening to me, right? Because, I never realized that he would, you can talk a little bit about it, but I just want to say a few words about him. Because he came to my party. I had a surprise party for winning the Olympia in 06, and he came with his wife at the time. And I know he migrated here, and he was training. I used to see him at Flamingo Gym. He mostly trained at the Gold's Gym on Serene and Eastern. And, he was... like you talked about, I saw him at the muscle camp in 03 at the Nationals, and Sean Ray was like, why are you helping this guy? He has no shot. And the guy comes in 04 and battles us. He won the challenge round, which controversially Ronnie didn't like. But I think he really was happy for me when I won in 06.
Sincerely.
For me, but at the same time, I don't think he got the same respect from Ronnie Coleman. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you know how Ronnie considered himself unbeatable.
I know, but Ronnie also has a different demeanor, and not that he was a jerk or anything, but Ronnie was a lot more, how can we say, confident and never really, I remember people used to ask, who is your biggest threat? And he said Victor Martinez, and here I am placing second to him how many times? So if anyone should feel disrespected, it should be me. But he looks at these guys and says, just like now, he thinks Derek Lunsford is like his favorite bodybuilder, right? You have your favorites, right?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about your relationship with Gustavo. And I always said, do you remember me saying on this podcast, probably the best transformation I've ever seen you make
yes, you did.
Is him.
I agree with you. And I'm glad that you mentioned him. Now, we did mention his name here and there. He was tremendous competitor and kind of came out of nowhere. It's not like, he had no potential and everything. From 1998, when he did his pro debut in my show there in Germany, German Grand Prix, that's the show that he entered. I've seen him, talked to him. I'm always friendly and strike the conversation. He had that shape, symmetry, proportion, how to move. I said, okay, you have potential. Then in 99, he competed with me in British, no, not British, I'm sorry, at Night of Champions. And then, what do you call it? There was not British Grand Prix, but the one before in Rome. He had the World Championship. There's a picture of me flexing him behind. He didn't place nowhere, right? That's 99. And then I do know that he qualified for Olympia.
2000, he competed at the NOC the year I won my first.
Oh yeah, and
title.
also didn't make a mark at all. You were so good. He didn't make a mark. Finally, after a few misses, I think placed top 3 in some Canadian show, qualified for Olympia, and did 2002 Olympia. And that was the only show. I mentioned this in one of the podcasts. I think with Dave Palumbo. This is the only time when they judge every single placings, not just top 15 and everybody 16. He was actually 24th out of 25. Like, God, it's so discouraging. But I went to Puerto Rico for a seminar. It was Charles Poliquin and Dr. Eric Serrano, and he attended. And I talked to him and said, Gustavo, you have such an incredible physique, such a potential. And I wanted to help him. But I guess the same way of thinking, I compete against him. I was not going to tell him the truth. And I'm going to sabotage him like Nasser would think. So, okay, we didn't talk. Then 2003, he competed in Night of Champions, which I did. And on the stage in New York, I announced my retirement in U.S. because I was going to just do the one more show in Hungary a week later. He attended that show too, placed nowhere. I mean, so really 2003 was declining. So potential, yes, but he didn't prove himself. So finally in Hungary, he told me, would you work with me? And that was summertime, June maybe. And we were in Miami in November, something like that. So that time he took the time off. And when he heard that I'm in Miami, he's from Puerto Rico, he came to meet me, and yeah, you remember very well. There was me, Dexter, you, Sean, maybe a few more, and there was
maybe Troy. I don't know.
Trials, yeah,
maybe
there was a bunch of us.
But to go back in 03, no disrespect, but you hadn't really had anyone under your wing, like.
Yeah,
I know in like 07 you had Dennis, and you know what I mean? So this was so early on. So when you say, I want you to work with me, how was your reputation?
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, he knows that I helped Nasser somebody back in the day.
Well,
and
Nasser never really admitted that, though, I felt like.
He did. There was like online you can see that I gave him $100,000 information for nothing. That this is how he turned around, right? But the reason why he knew that I'm working, it sounded like I had a reputation as a coach, is as I talked to him in 98 and then 99, I talked to him, I offer my help, and then he attended my seminar, he knew what I talk about and preach, so that's why. And I was blessing because that was November of 2003, and when is Ironman? February, right? Because Arnold is always first weekend of March.
2 weeks after, yeah.
So, and we start working. Now, when you see somebody that has that structure and shape and good enough thickness and trains like a maniac, I knew that he was just like straight as an arrow. The way I do it, I take everybody's eating habits and I just make you eat your same food that you're eating, just change the timing and volume and all that stuff, and then I throw in my insulin here and there, right? And you can see the progress. And he was immediately like high responder. It's okay, we're doing the Ironman. And Ironman that year, because 2003, you were at that Ironman stage. I just posted those pictures. I don't know if you've seen. It's shocking. I mean, that's probably one of your best looks. For me, that's probably your best look, but because of those lights. I don't know, maybe if some other, like 2001, 2009, if you were under those lights, maybe you would look even freakier. But for me, I'll never forget, Chris Aceto was right next to me, and when you showed up, I mean, it was just started laughing. It was impossible how good you were. So that's the last Ironman winner, Jay Cutler, 2003. Now this is 2004, and Dexter and Lee Priest showed up. There was Craig Titus. There was a bunch of people, right? So Gustavo was not on the map. Nobody even counted he can do anything. But I guess they had a press conference, and they took the clothes off, and Ronnie saw him. And Ronnie was coming to my gym and said, I've seen Gustavo, man, he can win. Hey, before the show, coming from Ronnie, right? That was a shocker. So he placed third, phenomenal, right?
Who won?
Dexter won and Lee was second. Yeah, and they gave him, the same thing. They didn't give him a first call out right away, but they make him work until he made it there. Long story short, all my guys compete constantly, so he did everything. San Francisco, Arnold Classic, GNC shows, or just compete. You're pro, which we're going to talk about this too. You're pro, you have a chance to earn money, to be seen, to, practice, peaking.
Well, he
and
got
everything.
he got third in 2004 Olympia.
So that 2004 Olympia, right? You know how going into the show, even if you talk about this year, who's top 10 target?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wouldn't have had him on the radar.
Nobody saw him. And going into that show, I knew how good he is. And I know that he can be conditioned. He has that, some guys just have ability to be ripped and dry, not even trying hard. You have like Flex Wheeler, for example, that is just so watery, all the time. And then you have to really do things to finally get him there. So it's going to happen, it's not going to happen. But then you have a guys there, day in, day out. I was talking to John Jewett yesterday. This guy was ripped, stage ready for 2 weeks. Any day he can just step on the stage, for example. So Gustavo was that way. And I told him, that's 2004. That, of course, you were, major favorite. You were battling Ronnie, because let's talk to the audience to find out. Jay shocked everybody in 2001, but in 2002 you won on a classic, but you choose to pass the Olympia, and Ronnie was not that good. You could have probably beat him right there. So 2003, as I mentioned, you showed up at the Ironman looking freaky and Arnold Classic. And then there was that photo shoot for Flex Magazine with you and Jay Cutler. No, you and Ronnie Coleman and Gunter. Gunter, yeah. And Gunter beat him at the GNC show, so he was also new hope. You guys can beat possibly Ronnie. And Ronnie showed up 2003.
I'm getting goosebumps, bro, thinking about it. What a year. What a year was that. And yeah, I think we discussed this already. Ronnie showing up at that photo shoot looking like a monster kind of deflated your... it has to. I mean, you've seen the monster. I mean, I don't know how your mindset could say, I can beat this guy. This guy was next level. I mean, Jesus Christ. But you went into that show to battle, okay? And you went 2004 and 2005, which I want to touch that subject, because you were... You sent me 100 pictures the other night, by the way.
I have it.
How many pictures do you think you sent me?
Probably 200.
All of a sudden, my WhatsApp's just like...
I'm going to bomb you, but I didn't want to wait for like midnight.
Usually he bombs Instagram with them all.
I would love to see my pictures.
I text him, I'm like, bro, where are you getting all these?
Here's a Jay Cutler file.
He's like, I thought you might like them,
I was looking for Gustavo pictures, right?
Yeah, I know.
And now as I'm searching, you remember that 55,000 photos that my computer was plugged with? I was asking you to please help me. These 55,000 photos I'm going through, and I've seen a bunch of yours, so I'm sending you. But 2003, you went there to battle. I don't think you believe you can beat Ronnie because he was like crazy looking. Yeah, my hat is off to you. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, I thought I could when I showed up.
Because
I didn't know how he was going to look. I saw him backstage, dude. His stomach was out to here.
Okay. Well, yeah. That was
I thought
one
for
thing
sure. That's when they used to talk about marking down for stomachs.
Yeah, that's one thing that could brought him down. If they really want to penalize him, they could have. But I'm talking with Gustavo. I told Gustavo, like, listen, there's no way they're going to call it first, second, third comparison. Zero chance. With all the names who was entering, zero chance. You're going to stay there in the lineup. super tight, legs, abs, because Steve Weinberger and other judges, even though they're judging there, they already seen what's up. They glance left and right. Like, who's going to be next call out, next call out, next call out. You going to be called out, and once you have a chance, at that time they were comparing. He was 12 guys were called. He was 13 guy. So just imagine that in today's term. 13 guy goes to top 10, top 8, and finished third. You guys have that challenge round, and everybody's against that challenge round. Doesn't make sense. It's not who is better bodybuilder, but this is strategic round that I could beat you maybe in some pose, and I'm gonna pick. I pick for him each guy, each pose.
You went over it.
Yeah, I went over. And it's like, you're not going to call this, oh, he's confident with the most muscular. And I said, no. You're not going to go most muscular with Marcus Rule, you know.
Well, he took his shirt off at the press conference, so
Yeah.
back up a little bit. So, I mean, which
You seen
he really didn't have the business doing that, I think, at the time.
Okay, yeah, at the time, okay, so again, who told him to get it on time? You and Ronnie start posing, and then Gunter
Gunter,
join
yeah.
you. So I went there and said, Gustavo, get
you
on,
told
man.
him?
I
Yeah.
told him, get there. Who cares? You're not on the target. You're not going to be top 10. Just show your face there. Show the confidence. Doesn't
How
matter.
do you look next to us?
Not good. You know, but it doesn't matter. You know?
I could see Milos. Get up there. And oh, shit, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, we still needed a day of a loading because you guys were fucking monsters, right? But anyway, it did. So to make long story short, that judging of the
Challenge.
confirmation, not confirmation round, challenge round, yeah. I think that moved him up over Dexter. You know, I was discussing this with, and I don't remember the details right
Was that
now.
the year he beat Dexter?
Yeah, he beat
was
Dexter.
so mad.
Yeah.
I was standing in line, and Dexter's like, "You kidding me?" Like he's like, "This guy's gonna beat me right now," and
Yeah.
he was so mad.
Yeah.
He couldn't believe it.
What show was that?
2004
Olympia.
Olympia. But then,
Olympia.
then listen, then 2005, you're going to the Ironman that you mentioned, and he won. And there was Lee, there was Troy Alves, there was.
It was impressive there.
Yeah, it was. And Ironman lights, you got to go for the fullness. I mean, you remember? I mean, he was full as a house. And, you know, you have just enough of that the dryness that these lights make you drier. So that was a full look, yeah. And he nailed it. Chris Acedo was helping Troy Alves, and Troy, for the first time in his life, had a striated glutes, and they were like, you know, Chris Acedo getting striated glutes on Troy Alves, that's like mission impossible, right? And so he was so happy. But I think Gustavo dominated that show. Then we went to Arnold Classic. Now, that was 100 grand, Hammer. I don't know what watch because I have no idea about the watches. You know, but actually, that I was very motivated for him to win that one because I'm supposed to get that watch, whatever that is. You know. But
Dexter won.
yeah, that's the one. And I mentioned this in Dave Palumbo's interview, but I'm gonna mention here because you are familiar with all this contest prep and everything. I was going lowest, like 150 grams of carbs for him on the depletion days. There was no need to do more. And that was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then Thursday morning before the workout, he was a guy that can fill up quickly, so there is no need for 3 days. But he went there, and I guess he just wanted so badly. So he figured if he goes 0 carbs, it's going to be even better. And then, you know, I came there on Wednesday afternoon and saw him like after 3 days of depletion, and you know, I just like, Gustavo, you know, you look like super flat and all that stuff. Like, what's happening? I mean, do you sleep? So what's going on? Oh, I had the hardest workouts of my life. Oh, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you know, and you know, man, I had 0 carbs. I said, why? For the love of God, right? And now is they try to, you know, quickly. But he was already now catabolic. Not when you have no fat and no glycogen, and then you keep digging, you throw your body in catabolic state. It's so hard to get it back. Anyway, you know, he was better, and then 2 hours later he loses, and all the stuff. And it's like that to the stage, and he plays third. I think Dexter won, and Chris Cormier got second. But now going to the Olympia, say, okay, we're not going to make that same mistake, and he plays third at that Olympia as well. There's many pictures of you and him. Of course, he knew that you are wider and most muscular, and that he pretty much has no business beating you in size department ever, and you were always conditioned, so he can maybe match there. But he was hoping on like aesthetics and posing, that he had a shot at you. But he always spoke super highly of you. And then when he moved to Vegas, I guess you guys struck the friendship. And when you won and beat Ronnie, he was calling me to he was happy for you, like he won himself. Yeah. Because let's talk about this. Ronnie was unbeatable. You're thinking, okay, from 98, dominate everybody. And even though you played second a few times, 2003, you believe you could have beat him. I don't think you believe it. You just convince your mind.
04, 05 every year.
05, there was a legitimate chance. And a lot of people are even telling me, 2005, Jay could beat. Possible. There is argument. There is many poses. There is very good argument.
I was starting to prove he was regressing. You know what I mean?
His lat was acting up. In 2005 was visible.
He was smaller. You know what I mean? He didn't come in like the 03. The 03 was the 1 year. And then seems like 04, we both came in big, but not like the 03 shock value.
Which year, actually, you had a little stomach issue for prejudging? 05? Okay.
Oatmeal. I carved up an oatmeal.
Yeah. I have a shitload of photos.
You sent it to me.
Yeah, did I?
You sent it to me.
I'll post it for everybody.
Which is probably the only time you ever see me with a stomach.
All the time. Because this is what people are saying. Oh, but Jay, it's not aesthetic and no V-taper. I said, no V-taper? He has an extreme V-taper. He has a super flat abs, a super flat stomach with deep abs. So you create that illusion. I always say that. So when you open up and shoulders were, I don't know what shoulders were like, probably among the widest.
Marcus Rule.
And then
Joe Stubbs was pretty wide too.
Yeah,
Joe Stubbs was ridiculous.
Yeah, Joe Stubbs. Yeah,
he was tall though, wasn't he? Like 6'1".
Yeah, but it didn't matter. His shoulders.
Massive.
Paul Dillette had pretty wide shoulders too.
Crazy back, but Joe Stubbs doesn't get the credit for his whole upper body was phenomenal.
It was like Ronnie.
Better.
But anyway, so
yeah,
Gustavo.
Yeah. So
are you surprised though? Like what?
Yeah.
I've lost touch with him. Where was he now?
Yeah, we completely lost contact, and there was few times that I ran into his friends, and we start talking. I say, please tell him to call me.
And he was coaching people, but where was he living, Milos?
I think he went back to Puerto Rico, right?
That's what I thought.
Yeah, he's Venezuelan, and look, he is huge in Latin American community because he was the first one to really get to that level. Listen,
was he Venezuelan or Puerto Rican?
Venezuelan.
Okay.
But for 2 consecutive years, he was losing only to you and Ronnie.
That's crazy.
So if there was not you two,
the
he
best
would be
of all
Mr.
time,
Olympia.
he'd be Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you ever, obviously it touched me because, someone passes, especially that it's so surprising. But like I said, I've lost touch and really haven't tracked him. And I know he lost some size. I know there was talk of having kidney transplant, which we don't know why he needed the kidney. To me, he didn't look like a guy that abused substance.
Not at all. But you know how it is. Sean Ray, being Sean Ray, immediately he sends the text messages, and then you see, Gustavo made a post on Facebook, whatever, something about coaches and coaching and risking and all that stuff, right? So I know how Sean thinks always, to point fingers, but. Me working with Gustavo back in the day, he was the healthiest guy you can possibly imagine. Our diuretic protocol was consist of aldactazide.
Not much.
Nothing. nothing. I mean, he didn't need it because, when you're dry. But I'll tell you a funny story because when talking about dryness, Chris Lund organized a photo shoot with Gustavo. And that day, I don't know for what reason, he was flying from Puerto Rico and, delay in Miami and this and that. And then by the time he came in and he put the Pro-Tan and everything, Chris Lund didn't want to shoot him. So
He didn't look like much, right?
he looked horrible, And then even Chris Lund was like, so what are you going to do? Like, he's going to compete in a week? That was like a week before the show. I says, he doesn't look
Was
good.
that like 04 or 5?
05, yeah. But Chris Lund, really, he was so irritated because he was ready for magic shots, and Gustavo has these crazy arms and all this stuff. He was looking forward to it. And really, he looked like a waterlogged that day. And, so I said, like, just watch what happens.
You know what's funny? Chris Lund pulled me aside in one of the photo shoots back then. He was the main photographer for Flex, for people that don't know. And I remember after seeing the transition, because remember, I think the 90s, like, the guys were in shape weeks before the show, right? It was about cardio, and it wasn't about being so big and round and full. And I don't know if the protocols, how different it was. I mean,
just dieting was stricter.
Yeah. And the physiques weren't blown out, right? Like, it wasn't a size thing until, Dorian stepped up in 03, whatever, right? So, and he said...
93.
Yeah, 93. He said to me, I'll never second guess anymore, like, because he's watched some of these guys come into a shoot a week or two out and be like, this guy is not in shape. He's not going to pull it together. And he's like, whatever goes on now is not normal bodybuilding.
Yeah.
So that was
So
like
he
the
told you
big
that-
change. So he told me, he's like, I can't even judge what people look like anymore.
Yeah.
Because they just shock me when they show up on stage and they're actually in shape.
In shape. Yeah, he told me there's no chance that Gustavo would be. But that's the year when I took crazy shots of... I actually didn't find those photos. Your greatest shots when you look absolutely freaky. It was in the middle of a gym with the goon light.
Skylight.
Yeah, and I took it, and everybody in Flex magazine was so pissed because my pictures were better than Chris Lund's. You look crazy.
Are those the ones you leaked online?
Yeah.
Would you put them on Get Big?
Accidentally, yeah. And I say, I don't know what happened to somebody. I mean, pushed it.
Someone stole your phone and
Yeah, I
posted
almost lost the contract. And I was saying, like, listen, guys, I'm a fucking fan of excuse my language. I'm a fan of bodybuilding. I want to see it. I was delighted seeing this, and then I want to immortalize this and I want to show to every bodybuilding fan to see. That was unbelievable.
Everyone wanted to control everything, but yeah, it's just really unfortunate with what happened, with Gustavo, and we lost another Iron brother.
Yes.
And we're getting to that age now where it seems like, just falls.
50 years old,
Yeah.
50 years young. He was super family oriented.
Yes,
I do
kids.
remember, I don't know if you had a few times the lunch at that Jewish bar in my gym. When he was usually there with his wife Jessica and then little Barbie. His daughter was called Barbie, and it was exact Barbie doll. His kid was Gustavito. I think he had a couple of more kids afterwards. I never had a chance to meet him, but rest in peace and condolences to the family. I mean, we're all heartbroken. And we didn't talk about him for a while. And I don't know now that he's gone. I think that he's going to be memorized and be talked about, much, much more. But here's the question that Dave asked me, and I want to ask you. Looking at his absolute best, how do you see him placing in this year's Olympia or last year's? At his best?
I don't know. I think he'd have trouble in the top 5 with a Nick Walker being 3rd. I'm looking back for last year, I mean, he's not going to beat Derek or Hottie. Samson would probably beat him.
Yeah.
He'd be in the mix.
Rami would probably beat him. I mean, Rami looks pretty impressive. I just saw a picture of Rami.
Yeah, I seen today also briefly.
I don't know if it's what it is, but sometimes, with the trickery with these pictures, if it's an old picture,
Yeah. Yeah.
But, man, who else? So that was 6. Who was 7th?
There was...
Would he be in the first call-up?
Who was 7th? Ian or?
Seventh was
Jackson.
Hunter Labrada.
Hunter
and then
Andrew.
Yeah, I mean,
and then Andrew.
I could see him trying to. I mean, I think he'd have trouble with Hunter, even Hunter not being his 100. You know.
I was thinking about the same thing when Dave asked me. I approached exactly the same way like you. Okay, all right, is this realistic? And then when I told him he's going to be like 6, 7, 8, you know, somewhere, that's how I saw it. I said, well, what are you talking about? This guy lost only to Ronnie and Jay.
But think about this. He was talking about him beating Dexter
Yeah, I was just
Jackson.
gonna
I
say,
know.
where would Dexter
who's,
do it?
who's one of
And
the
I-
greatest of all time. But see, the thing is now let's take Gustavo out and say, where would Dexter Jackson place in this line? Now it would be like, oh my gosh, wait a minute. Wouldn't you think we'd place Dexter in the top 5?
I think that the Dexter could won.
Okay, but
Gustavo beat Dexter.
Yeah,
I know.
So it's kind of like
So I told him, like, hey, I'm accused of being a biased coach. So I said, I like kind of step on the brake and put him out of top 5. But now that you're saying he lost only to you and Ronnie.
I know, dude, but think about, like, let's talk about a Troy Alves. Where would he place right now? In some of these
Troy.
shows, in some of these
Troy.
shows that we're watching, we're going to talk about this.
I was just going to say, we just had Vancouver this last week, and there was 7 competitors or 6.
There was 6 only. And Chicago was going to be 8, but now De La Rosa and...
I didn't know De La Rosa was competing. Is this the
Yeah, he
first
is.
time since his injury, or
yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, there
And,
were 6 guys.
Stanimal is doing it too.
There were 6
Stan
guys.
was coming in?
There were 6 guys in.
He wasn't going to do
Vancouver.
it.
Yeah. So, okay, let's now that we switch to this topic.
First of all, let's talk about Vancouver. Like, let's,
Vancouver. Hassan, I mean, okay.
I thought Hassan looked good, man.
Jay sent me the message, right? Is Stanimal winning? I said, well, Stanimal is in condition of a lifetime. I mean,
But people thought
you cannot be better conditioned
People
than
thought
this.
it was a battle, but then when I saw
No, there was
when
no
I
battle.
saw it, like actual, and I listen, you can't judge a show by pictures. So
Yes.
shout out to Tyler, because Tyler did put out that video, and he says, it's really hard to judge. We can't sit here in a podcast and say,
Yeah.
well, we saw the pictures of this and that, because I mean, we proved this. What was the show
Yeah,
that the pictures?
You guys watched the UK.
UK, and it was
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah.
Okay,
Totally
so,
different.
but when I saw the size difference, this is still bodybuilding, right? And
So-
listen, my hat goes off to Stan. He's come a long way,
Super long way.
from men's physique, classic, to being a bodybuilder. I mean, you can say the thing about Brett Wilkin, the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Stan was, talk about Stan's
So
shape.
actually, Jay sent me like a text message. You think Stan can win? And he was so super impressed with Stan. I said, look, this is conditioning is not even believable. I mean, it could not be drier, it could not be fuller, could not be more separated, could not be more vascular. And then his posing improved dramatically. That even, I mean, I was in the gym and seeing Regan and said, yeah, Regan goes, like, look at his front lat spread now. It was completely different. Back double biceps, completely different. He was hitting the poses. Few poses, Stan, I still think that you can improve, like side triceps and not showing. First time he's showing abs correctly and everything. But coming from you asking, can he beat
Hassan.
Hassan is like, no way. No, but he would not beat you, right? No matter how conditioned. You have so much size, overwhelming power in the open division. So for me, there was no contest for first place. I mean, Hassan, on the pictures, it was very good condition. Not stand condition, but this kind of conditioning. That's why I'm saying just condition cannot beat perfect physique.
I wish we could speak to someone that was actually there watching the show, but do you remember a couple years ago we talked about like the most muscular bodybuilder on the planet, and we thought it was Hassan, right?
I think he is.
Like, we used to see him at Dragon's Lair, and I mean, he could barely walk. He was so big.
I think he's the most muscular person I've ever
But
seen.
I think he's come down a lot since then, to be honest.
I mean, he has
Matt.
a crazy legs, crazy arms.
I mean,
yes.
Samson may be the most muscular
crazy legs,
man
crazy
right
arms,
now.
but
Samson isn't grotesque. Like he
No,
is.
Samson's pretty
No,
big,
Samson's big, but just
and
Hassan
Nick
on
Walker's
his frame.
really big too.
He is, but Hassan is bigger than Nick.
He's just got bigger
Yeah.
body.
He's got
bigger body to
He's
fill
got
out,
bigger
yes.
legs. His arms are probably equivalent to the size. He's just bigger. He's a bigger person, but they're not much different.
So I mean, Hassan delivered it. Thank God. I mean, it was painful to watch. I mean, he won 2 shows last year. Didn't compete at Olympia because of some health issues. I don't know.
Yeah.
And now you watch him being close second twice. And if he would lose this one, I mean, that would be so discouraging.
So what you saw there, if you
Yeah.
put that in last year's Olympia, would he have been in the top 10, or could he have
Hassan?
fought for it? Yes.
10 being Rafael Brandao. I would give Rafael myself. Yeah. So I don't think he would make top 10. Look, crazy size, but Rafael Brandao beat Samson year before. You know, in Romania, Rafael Brandao has shape and width and aesthetics and everything. You know, so I'm not going to go just for just pure muscle because let's face it, you were standing next to biggest guy ever besides Ronnie. It was Marcus Rule. Marcus never won a pro show. He won a couple of shows. He won Canada once and Night Champions. Yeah, but he was not winning. Yeah, he would overwhelm people in a size department, and he would be in great condition. I mean, he would be like slice and dice. He has that fibrotic, cross-threaded look, crazy back, crazy biceps. It's not sufficient. So Hassan, okay, could he make a top 10? Yeah, by all means. If I was a judge, I still always have that aesthetic component there as what I wish.
It's you know what it is though. It's a good story going into the Olympia. Another person to talk about.
Yes, he's a threat, and if he comes like super dry, super conditioned, like if you establish yourself a certain way, like what Stan was doing, he was good condition, decent, and all that stuff, and now he was superbly conditioned, okay, but doesn't have still enough size. But Hassan does have all the size for the Olympia, and if he comes slice and dice, dry to the bone,
now it's a different story.
He's going to be a factor. I mean, then put him next to Nick Walker. Okay, can he go muscle by muscle and pose by pose? I mean, shit, it's possible. Probably and Nick is a contender for the title.
But we know Nick is going to be in shape.
Of course,
it's not a question. Hassan is still, he's not consistent.
Hassan needs better presentation.
We talk about, I think he improved a little bit on the posing.
So Chad Nichols is his coach now.
Yeah. He what we talked last time, he just need to open up and create illusion a little bit.
He needs to walk out with his head at the audience and work the audience and not ever put his head down once.
Yeah.
That's my advice to Hassan. Own that stage. Show the confidence. Practice. Be prepared to be in the top 6-8 call out.
Yeah. You can't fake the confidence, right?
No.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you have all this mindset advices.
This is what makes champions.
Yes.
So let's going into Chicago this weekend.
Chicago, yeah. So
I have the list in front of me. It's got Blessing, Stephen Daniels. You said De La Rosa's not doing it.
He's doing it.
Oh, he is.
There's a new.
This was on the IFBB list. I pulled it down, and then someone from Canada.
Stanimal, he said.
Oh, yeah, you said he's on there. Matt Kuba.
Yeah.
Stan's on here. Emmanuel from Mexico.
Ramirez.
Patrick Moore,
yeah.
Eric Ramirez, and Justin Shire.
I mean, Justin is phenomenon.
Yes.
And
can Justin win this thing?
Yes, for sure. I mean, he has everything that it takes. I still haven't seen him in person. The pictures that I've seen in videos, like he's super impressive. That V-taper is. I think there was an argument that he could have a bigger legs and a little bit fuller chest, to be perfect. But if he's
who would you say the front runner is now? Blessing, just because he's got the most.
I would say Justin is.
What I mean by front runner, Justin hasn't been on that pro stage yet.
Yeah, but you don't need to prove yourself to be considered the favorite by physical attributes that you have. I mean, Blessing, I've seen him at that GNC show that I've seen you. Okay, so he was there. Yeah, you talked to me, and then I was there. So he's highly motivated.
Congratulations, Boogeyman, on his new
Boogeyman.
pre-workout, by the way. He just
Yeah.
launched Muscle
Great.
Tech. Yeah,
Great.
it's pretty cool.
Blessing looked super motivated. He looked huge. He's super wide. My advice is I told him right there in front of you. He has one of the craziest speed tapers and super small waist when he opens up, right? He should not risk whatsoever to push down as his obliques come out and then his waist doesn't look as good. And this is about that presentation. It's not what you have, it's what you show. If you never show them wider waist, they only see the small waist. That's how they're going to judge. And then you're a super contender. Upper body wise, I mean, Blessing is phenomenon. Phenomenon.
Guys, if he comes like he did for New York Pro, I think he can win.
Yeah, by all means he can win. And he's, in Las Vegas, maybe he would be heads-on favorite still. But Justin is just too complete. And then
Patrick
balance.
Moore's in this.
Yeah.
Patrick Moore as well.
So, from an aspect of balance, okay, that's what was a downfall for Blessing, right? He had a crazy upper body and legs lacking a little bit. Okay, Patrick Moore, the same thing. Upper body, one of the best.
So let's talk about John De La Rosa. He had a bicep injury.
Yeah.
And this is his first time back on stage in a while. I didn't know he was doing the show. I want to call him.
He's a crazy shape guy, too.
John De La Rosa.
He's got all the tools.
Complete. Everything. Thickness and width.
Density.
You see, and about the arms, now that you said that he tore his biceps, hopefully it's not visible. Hopefully.
From what I've seen, it
But
doesn't look.
some guys have a crazy arms. Like, okay, feel heat down, like side chest, most muscular. The arm look 28 inches, it's like ridiculous. Many of those shots, I thought, this is Photoshop guaranteed. This is impossible. And then it's not Photoshop.
Yeah.
But when he lifts his arms, he doesn't have that crazy biceps peak,
Flex Lewis.
Flex Lewis, exactly. Same thing.
Kevin Levrone.
Kevin also, yeah. The arm down looks crazy. Arm up, so-so. De La Rosa had both.
He's got peaks.
Yeah, peaks and thickness and V-taper, crazy legs. He didn't peak perfectly a few times, and even not peaked, he was getting high placings because of complete package shape, thickness, enough muscle. So we haven't seen him for 3 years?
I think
he has a gym.
Years.
I think he's running a
Sawgrass.
huge gym. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm surprised that he's entering. I'm delighted to see him. So he's top 3 favorite right there. So John, De La Rosa, Blessing, and Justin. Can Stan get in? Yes. On conditioning.
What about Patrick Moore, though?
And I love Patrick's physique. But even when I saw him, whatever show, Arnold Classic.
What was the last one?
Arnold Classic, I was there.
Classic, yeah.
And I see him a couple of times, right? In the gym and everything else. I say, pose for me, and then he takes the shirt off and doesn't, puts the pants down. And then he goes, touch it. I say, yeah, I can touch it. I can touch the hamstring and all this shit. I want to see it. I don't want to touch it, because I know. You know how it is when Kevin Levrone was making that comeback in 2016 or whatever. And you see your upper body, I'll say, there is a reason why he's not showing the legs, you know what I mean? But eventually the pants have to go down before you go on stage, and the world is going to see it. I hope that Patrick puts some size on the legs, that he can create balance. If he creates balance, shape is ridiculous.
So we could have a pretty good good battle in the top 5.
Top 5, yes. Some people can squeak in. Even in Vancouver, when you see the pictures, there were a couple more guys in very good shape and condition.
So my next, I'm gonna pivot from this. So this is 2 weeks in a row where we have 10 or less competitors. And when you compete, obviously there was less shows back then, but why do you think, and I have my opinion, I think we all have different
I want to know, yes.
Turn the air, fix the air.
Yeah,
why?
All of a sudden it's hot, huh? Yeah.
Jay didn't pay the bill. So why do you think there's less guys competing now? Why do you think there's 6 guys in Vancouver?
Yeah, okay.
There's 10 guys. Chicago is, in my opinion, what I call a tier 2 show. You have the Olympia Arnold or that top one.
It should
and
be.
And then New York Pro's probably in there. And then that next tier down, Tampa.
It should be favored.
Tampa in Chicago. So, these are big. This is a big show. Texas.
I texted Bob Ciccariello today, because before I was coming here, I said, okay, Bob, you have any clue how many pros out there? And he says they were giving thousands of pro cards in the last so many years, right? So I know when I was in Japan, for example, amateur show, that they would give 3 pro cards. Like one is not enough, 3. And then all over Europe, all over, they're throwing those pro cards like it's a popcorn. So way too many. So why they're not competing? So last time on the podcast you said, it doesn't make financial sense. Okay, they spend more money than they would,
Some,
yeah.
Everybody.
Correct me if I'm right. You told me about you speaking with Justin Shear, and right?
Yeah.
He was saying again, it's going to cost him more to go
Even
there.
If he wins, it'll cost him more.
Okay, so the argument of guys not having financial sense. Okay, back in the day, we had zero money. We talk about this, so I'm not going to repeat myself. Anybody that nowadays is going to say, "Oh, I cannot fly on a Spirit or Frontier or some stupid airline that costs nothing." You cannot find a Airbnb or something and spend a few $100s on major business opportunity and building your image and then challenging for Mr. Olympia qualification. It makes zero sense. All these guys, gear cost. They're going to do the gear whether they compete or not. They're going to take pictures for Instagram or not. They're in a gym, they do what they do, they eat the way you're supposed to. Okay. Now, when you do all that stuff, wouldn't you want to be in shape, in a contest shape? And if you're contest shape and you have a pro card, you can be on the biggest stage of IBB Pro League. Yeah, you're passing on all these shows. What the hell?
I would say, to push back on that, what you do on stage has zero value to your value financially. The highest paid people don't compete at all. Again. Like, I'll take Regan, for example. Regardless of where Regan places, he's going to make more money than all these guys because of his look and his following and his ability to move numbers for a product. That's why that some of the guys will say, if I go do this show, I'm going to spend all this money and I'm going to do all this. And I'm not saying the elite top guys. I'm saying if you're a guy that might get 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, or they can use that same money and put it into themselves and put it into whether it's YouTube or this or this or this to where they can actually make a living from it, because you can't make a living as a pro bodybuilder like you once could. A small circle of people can. So very, very, very small.
I agree with you. But all that they do, YouTube or whatever else that you mentioned right now, they're going to do much more if they're in contest condition. So they have to get in a contest condition. That fat picture of Jada was a fake, and I thought it was real. He wouldn't make so much money on that one, right? So he need to get in a shape that he would get. So the bottom line is all these guys, they're influencers. They're, as Nick Walker calls Regan, it's called Regan Instagram bodybuilder. You've seen on his profile, it's Instagram bodybuilder.
Oh, you changed it?
You changed it. Yeah. He's still pissed off. By the way, Nick, Regan is challenging you for a leg workout trained by me.
So let me just touch on that a little bit, guys, because I'm sitting back and I usually speak when I have something to say. We had a carrot dangling, and that carrot was Joe Weider, because Joe Weider controlled the money and he controlled the books, and at the time. And he owned the Mr. Olympia, right?
One-stop shop.
So we were incentivized to, oh my gosh, if I win, I get featured in the magazine because that means something, right? It's kind of like the blue check mark when I landed the blue check mark on Instagram. I'm like, man, I'm one of the few that has the blue, right? Now you can buy it for $14.99 a month, So you had that carrot, because you had to be great on the stage to get the contract, or good. Not, obviously some are better than others. And that roster was lean. What were there, 10, 15? What would you say? I don't know in our prime. Like when we flew up to Weider headquarters in Utah, bro, and we had that
was
meeting.
15 easily.
Yeah, okay, so
easily 15.
So we looked at the shows then, and we didn't put a monetary value to them like we do today. Like when we talk about shows being 10,000 and 30 years ago they were 10,000, the same shows. We were just talking financial when you came in and on a personal side, and if 10,000, like what I won 15 at the NOC in 2000. I don't know what it pays now. Let's just say it even pays more or less. I
think it's
close
12.
to. Okay. I used that money to put a down payment on my house, okay, in California at the time. That's not putting a down payment on any homes today. Unless, maybe like Midwest somewhere. Okay.
If you live in a small town, maybe.
Okay.
It's still not enough.
Not in Aliso Viejo, California.
No, that might
Where do you
cover
have a house? Yeah.
That'll cover 6 weeks of rent.
So he's absolutely right. Matt's right, because the earners are doing social media and not necessarily. Granted, there's some good bodybuilders that are kind of crossbreeds. I consider Regan kind of like
Regan's
that.
a crossbreed.
Okay,
Nick is a crossbreed.
Because I feel Regan is great on a level of certain bodybuilding. He just hasn't proved himself on the highest tiers yet. But he's correct. He's an earner. Because I get asked these questions when I remember I'm on the field. I'm out there, so people bring up to me, deals come to my lap still, being who I am, and Regan's name is mentioned, right? So the incentive to get on stage and compete, where does $10,000 go these days? Where Weider used to pay for the tickets, or the promoters used to pay for a lot of the tickets? Expenses were offset. You don't have any expenses offset anymore unless you're with a supplement company. And yes, supplement companies now, what they didn't do back in the Weider day, they incentivize. So they say, you win 3,000, I'll match that 3,000, or I'll give you a bonus of 1,000. That's worked into deals thanks to people like this.
I had this in my contract right away. In early
Very
90s.
very few have that except a couple.
I made more in bonuses than actually monthly.
So we talk about bonuses, but unfortunately, a lot of guys, they don't have that ability to get that, right out of the gate. And obviously we didn't either. And we struggled. Let's be real. Like we were busted. No, I was broke. I mean, you talk about on nationals, I didn't have a sponsor, and I went to nationals, and, I went there, I had to fly people there, and, my girlfriend and I, and it was just, there's expenses, right? But granted, I landed a contract, and my first contract was $50,000 because I refused the 24 the year before. Yeah. And I was able to now support myself. But these guys, there's no one's standing around like, hey, when you win your pro card, you have the ability to have a contract with us.
And what I want to say to that is, remember, when I first started following the sport, less than 10 guys a year turned pro. Just remember that. Everyone at nationals, overall at North Americans, it was overall at USA's, then they added the second person.
One, yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
There's no other. So when you turn pro, you were getting a $40,000 to $50,000 contract because you were so rare. Yeah. Now you turn pro, you're not getting a contract. You're not. You're getting a code.
Not just that. Let's talk about it. All this late 80s, 90s, and everybody that was winning nationals or that USA overall is like off the hook.
They're a contender.
Like instantly Olympia contenders. I mean, Kevin Levrone, boom. Flex Wheeler, boom, right away. Chris Cormier,
even 2000, Phil Heath,
Francois,
all these guys.
I mean, that was instantly right there. So there was no brainer. Yeah.
So that's, I'm not saying, and look, there are some people that compete for the love of it, but you still have to be able to survive.
Yeah.
There was also one division.
Yes.
Now it's spread out. So where I can sit here and say, hey, here's the blueprint. You win your pro card. You start marketing yourself. You make some T-shirts. You have 8x10s you sell. You do this. You do that. There's a lot of divisions now. So I think a lot of champions, if they win an overall or like they win a USA or nationals, they have the ability to self-market themselves. They can sell a T-shirt or two or posters, but I don't see any of them coming to shows and selling pictures or offering that. Yeah. Listen, I was going there with a Polaroid camera and selling Polaroids for $5.
How much did you make in each guest posing just from selling Polaroids?
I hate coming on here and bragging about how financially rewarded I was, but still to this day, I was in Ohio last weekend selling posters and shirts and this and that. I mean,
we're going to Texas this week, and I asked him,
he asked me
what are you bringing?
The dummest questions he's asked me in
I do
all
it on
year.
purpose. I said, are you bringing anything to sell? Just to see what, because I already knew what he was going to say. And he's like, of course, I got a bag pack. But who else is going to bring a bag except, depending on certain shows, Yarishna will bring some stuff. She had clothes there last year. Regan will get shirts pressed up. He'll get 8x10s pressed up. Nobody else will do this.
I better get something for January for Guadalajara.
Yeah.
Yeah, better make the t-shirts.
But the difference is, I want to say this. Back then, in order to get seen, you had to compete to get in the magazines. Yes. Now, and I'm going to use Yarishna as an example just because I went over this, Yarishna can get 100 million impressions in a week. 100 million. There's nobody else doing that. C-Bum probably, but she can do more. Jay doesn't get 100 million in a week. He doesn't. I mean, Yarishna is different though, because obviously she's the way she looks. But for her, if she
politely said, Milos, you're thinking.
I agree.
I was going to say, you wanted to say, you can't compare.
I've seen every original post.
Listen. Nobody wants to see Jay in a thong walking on stage now. But if you look at her, if she goes and competes, it's not going to help her. If she goes and utilizes her look,
I don't believe that. I don't believe that because she will get recognized. It helps her. Yeah. This is how she started, right?
Yes.
I think her getting out there and doing things will. I think it will. Everything helps. It'll
help her content. Yes. It'll help her content.
She could still win Olympia. I mean, seriously,
of course.
If she nails
but I'll give you an example. I'm going to use her for example. She's on tour with Karol G now. She's going to be there for the next 3 months.
Wow.
And there's no show that can make her what she can make doing that. Yeah. Not close. She can make more money doing that than every show this whole year combined. Now, for her, if she stopped doing that to compete, it would harm her. So she has to weigh out what to do.
That. But we're not talking about her. You're talking about hundreds of pro bodybuilders are not competing.
The straw that broke the camel's back is the creation of divisions that took from the open bodybuilding.
You can't argue. That's true, 100%.
Even though they gave possibilities for all the others.
Of course.
But, we hardcore bodybuilders, we want a sport to survive. I mean, Dennis asked me at the podcast, like, are we in trouble? Like, oh, shit, what, you and me? Why would we be in trouble? Like, what did we do? I said, no, bodybuilding. Like, oh, if bodybuilding is in trouble because nobody's competing. Look, Pavel Yablonitsky, you've seen, right? Premier bodybuilder back in the day. Imagine economy in Czech Republic, super little, no sponsors and all this stuff. And then he has to travel all the way to the United States and pay for everything because initially nobody was paying for his flights and expenses, right? So basically lifetime savings he has to put and compete, and then sometimes he was not even called out. And then Yaroslav Horvat or Oleg Zhur. I mean, there is many of these Eastern Europeans I'm close to because I'm one. They would put every penny that they have and take from the family just to show up there. And then they would not even be called for comparisons, which I was so pissed off. I say, like, if somebody's, making the trip and being there on the stage, just give them a chance. At least if they lose and they're not being compared, who cares? If you're compared and you're dead last, this kind of things.
40 plus guys on the Night of Champions stage.
Yeah, I was there.
But think about, you brought up Pavel.
Post 2 by 2. There was not 1 by 1.
Pavel's name, put him in these lineups.
He was so good. He was way undervalued. He was underrated.
Remember him?
Yeah, tiny waist, wide shoulders, crazy
thin,
condition.
Paper thin skin.
And he never. I mean, I know he did the Olympia a couple times.
He beat me.
Yeah, he beat me too. Listen, as unbelievable as it sounds, I was delighted when he beat me 99 in Toronto. I mean, he cried on the stage because $10,000 for him was like $100,000 for me. it didn't mean anything for me, right? I was already qualified for Olympia, and he won that show. It's like, okay, now he has some money, so he can travel to Night of the Champions. He came to Night of the Champions, play second, to Paul Dillette. It was like he could have actually won. So what I'm saying is, those hardcore bodybuilder guys from different countries that they don't make money, they still save the money and come here and compete. All these YouTubers, and I know YouTubers that make stupid amount of money. Just like ridiculous. I don't even mention it because it hurts to even think about it. Like, what? They can compete, but they choose not to compete. Why would you not compete? You have a pro card.
Do you think there's too many shows, Milos?
Too many shows. And it's basically, you mentioned it, and I'm going to point this out, same prize money. Why don't you force promoters not going to like me, you should easily double up the prize money.
I know, but they can't because the sponsors are scarce.
Don't make the show. Have a fewer shows and start valuing these bodybuilders. I got $3,000 in 1991 in my pro debut for third place.
Third place is still $3,000.
The same. 33 years later.
And like we said back then, if you won 10 grand, that's a down payment on a house. Now it's not a down payment on a car.
Yeah, but do we? Okay, here it is. It's nothing for me here, and nothing for you, Jay, of course. But would we want our own brothers to be paid better?
Of course.
And our industry to improve?
I fight for it nonstop.
Okay, but what are we doing to improve? We don't even have discussions. Kind of even here, just mentioning like, you're crossing the line. You have to be politically correct. We want to help industry, bodybuilding, federation, bodybuilders. What can we do to improve? Why there's not enough money for if you're going to make a Vancouver show, right, and have a guys, if there was double prize money, maybe it would attract more people.
Of course.
Maybe they would come. Back in my time, right, I already knew Vince Taylor is going to be in all the shows. Chris Cormier is going to be in all the shows. Marcel somebody.
And this, I'm going to ask this, and I could be completely off on this. Do you think having so many divisions, it makes fans not want to go to some of the shows? Where you have to sit there for 4 or 5 hours?
I think the live streaming changes people's decision on whether they're going to. Someone like, let's talk about UFC. People sit at home and they have UFC parties, but they're not flying to location, and they are selling these out, by the way.
They sell out every...
they know that ticket prices can be expensive,
crazy,
right?
Yeah.
But I think the cost, it's just the cost now, especially, and I think they can be lengthy, some of the shows.
Every last thing has gone up in our world. There's nothing you can buy now that you could then. There's no reason the prize money is the same. So I don't know if that's a Ciccarello conversation.
There's no
with
reason.
The promoters.
It's
the
a
pro
promoter
league.
and the sponsorship, but he's right. I think that
if
we got to really look at, the value of what a contest is. And, once again, I still think there's too many guys that qualified like last year because it was extended year, but like the elite Olympia persons, we see Europe, the IFBB's expanded so much in Europe now that you got to give the Europeans a way to compete, right? So I understand a couple
of
European
about 5 shows there, right?
They got quite a few, right?
2 in Italy, 2 in Spain,
but
1 in
once
Portugal,
again, there's
UK.
going to be a number of guys that stand in the last few call-outs that are heroes where they come from, and that's what we hate to see.
What if you said there's only going to be 15 pro shows a year, open men, only 15? And if you don't win one of these shows, and if you're not the reigning Mr. Olympia, you don't make it.
Put it this way, I did 3 years. I did every organized show. It was like the most. There was 12 in one year. So I did every single one. I think there's too many shows right now. There's definitely, but if you put the foot down and say, okay, promoters, the prize money has to be this much.
If there was less shows, you could do that too. Because more top guys would do it, more top guys bring more tickets.
But if you're going to have more shows, no problem. But I'm sorry, the promoters should, put more money. Yeah.
And now
it should be required.
The promoting putting more money required comes from the pro league. Then.
Yeah.
They have to say, if you want to sanction this show, this is what you have to put up. But like I said, if it were up to me, the only person that's going to guaranteed back the next year is the reigning Olympia champion or a former.
For the Olympia?
Yes. Because right now...
Top five has to be.
But there's no need for that. There's no need for it because those top guys, like I'm going to use Derek Lunsford as an example. He's only done one show outside of the Olympia his whole career.
Yeah, but hold on a second. So you would force Derek Lunsford to requalify?
Absolutely. He didn't win.
Okay, well...
But what would be wrong with that?
I don't agree with
that. No, I don't agree with you.
I'm an athlete, you know.
Yeah, we are athletes. Yeah. Look, back in the day, there was top 10. Mm-hmm. Top 10.
Of course, but there was only 7 other shows, though.
There was 5 shows. But still, I mean, come on. Top 5 at Olympia should be requalified immediately.
But then those top 5 are not going to do the other shows.
They don't need to. They are already elite of the elite. Okay,
I understand that, but I'm saying if
let him prepare a whole year and be better.
If you want all these shows to succeed, you have to have the big names doing them, hold on, they're going to keep going down.
Okay,
because having a bunch of bodybuilders that don't have a big name are not going to draw tickets.
Hold on.
It would be nice though if there was like,
of course.
No, I'm not talking. I'm not agreeing with you. If there was an organizational like collaboration where the top guys showed up at the shows, like
that
Derek, you're showing up at this pro show. Samson, you're showing up at this one. Yeah. Nick, you're showing up at this because we have contracts. Yeah. Joe Weider.
Yeah.
See what he did. See why we respect Joe Weider so much because
he had to shut up in 6 by contract 6, right?
Yeah,
6 a year.
I don't know. I thought it was more or less, but they need to put figureheads and not just have empty contests, right? Yeah. So we don't have to talk about, well, so-and-so is going to compete because you can't make the top 5 guys qualify. Yeah. It's just...
I know where you're leading,
but you know
your way of thinking is good.
But the open division is the only one that does that. No one else does. But, just the open division.
What do you mean?
The top 5 don't qualify in all the other divisions. They don't.
Yeah. I think, because it's not the draw like the open class.
There's 2,000 competitors there. It's a little bit different. So top 5 should qualify. But how about
I like your opinion. This is what this is the discussion we're supposed to have. I want you to voice your opinion. I don't want you to be like, well, this is what. And listen, this is just topic of conversation. Yeah. Me as an athlete, dude, I was top 10. I requalified in 2.
So some guys that write down they're going to complain. They shut the fuck up, you fat guy.
Of course, but you know what it is though. I would love to see a Samson at a. Well, I mean, he won the Arnold, obviously. Yeah. I'd love to see these other guys at a New York Pro or at a Tampa Pro, or one of these elite guys that's right in that range, and they're not doing these shows.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th because I think that if you're in top 5, you earned a whole year to prepare to maybe move up in placing like he would do and stuff, right? Top 5 should be protected. You are qualified. How about 6th place? Samson had to qualify. He went right away. 7th place, Labrada. 8th, Andrew Jack. Who was 9th? I forget now. The 10th was
Raphael.
But who was 9th? How many missing?
I know I'm missing someone.
6 was Samson. 7 was
Hunter. Was it Hunter? Or?
Hunter. 8th was Andrew. Who was 9th? God. You see, my brain is not working. But anyway, so 11th Valliere and 12th Criso, and I mean there was like 30 guys at Olympia. So where are those 30 guys? Why they're not competing in these smaller shows?
It's hard for the guys to compete, Milos, because if you
William Bonnick.
If you have guys, that are like competing, we're getting deeper into the season now, right? I mean, it's still a ways. How many weeks of Olympia now?
15.
Yeah, so like
guys are already starting to prep.
The guys going to blow their load getting ready for these shows, no question, right? The bigger guys, it's harder. Yeah. It's just really everyone wants to have a show around the Olympia, right? Like, where's the European tours and all that? Like, that's where I think we're missing the opportunity, right? Like, going on and competing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, but now it just crossed my mind that it's something I need to say.
So those shows spread out all over the year instead of being around the Olympia time.
Yeah. Now it's how many? 30 shows? I was texting you.
Yeah, you sent it.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it's crazy.
There's still like 9 more shows.
Not just that. Okay, I text you about Masters division, right? So one show has a Masters 35. What kind of Master is 35? Okay, but then they have a Masters 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. That should be illegal.
Listen, when you turn 80, I want to see you on that stage.
That's what I said. That's what I said. 20 years.
You know what? Then you can be the Mr. Olympia 80 and up.
But listen, nobody should be encouraged and have that class.
No, because someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah. I mean, masters in general, I don't really support much. I don't think it's a good idea. But 35 is not master.
Oh,
I mean, 35
there's a lot of guys that turn pro at 35.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to mention this also before I forget. It's super, super important. Last time I didn't. My athlete, Behruz Tabani, right, Iranian guy. And I'm saying about him, but it can be so many other Iranians. Hani Rainbow did unbelievable. He brought Hadi Chapan, I don't know how, on the sponsorship or somehow. This is second year that Behruz is qualified. I tried to talk to Jake Wood and Don Salmon and Tyler Mannion, and it's still, we didn't move any step forward. He cannot even get an appointment with the American Embassy because last time he applied, they still didn't answer. That was before the Olympia, so he cannot reapply because there was no answer and it's status quo. It's nothing happening. Mm-hmm. So just imagine, Jay, imagine you qualify for the first time for the Olympia and then you were denied entry. And now you qualify a second time and you're denied again entry. And nobody is doing anything to help. I don't know what to do.
That is, in my opinion, that's a pro league issue. It is.
Okay, so
and I'll tell you why. If the NBA, when the guys have to go in and out of the country, the NBA takes care of it. The NFL takes care of it. The league does.
Listen, I can see it. Time is passing. So imagine now he's going through the prep. He was ready to compete, and he could not compete. You say, okay, so all your dieting, all what you did, training and suffering, is going to go to waste.
So has he got an appointment in Dubai yet?
No. And ever since he won in Brazil, okay, let's not wait, let's do it. But we are not moving forward. So, I mean, guys, I don't want to create the trouble, but Federation should find a way. You guys have more connections than I would ever have, so, make some moves, let him compete, let him earn his living.
Yeah.
And chance to be on the Olympia stage maybe once in a lifetime. Hopefully not, but again. And so I want to use this opportunity to say that.
Oh, it's fine. No, that's what we do it for.
Yeah.
No, I mean, all of us would love to. I mean, when Hadi was able to come here and compete the first time, I think everybody was happy seeing him on stage. Because no country's biases or rules or beefs they have with each other, that politics should have nothing to do with him being able to represent himself and his family and where he's from on the highest level. He's earned it.
Yeah, he has a couple of people trying to help him, and they contact me, but we're not moving forward. So I don't know.
Did Hani give you? Hani would have the best advice to give you.
Yeah, I asked him directly even a year ago, and he says, "Look, he couldn't do it until his company, American company, sponsored."
Who does Behruz have a deal with?
Nobody American, So, but. Olympia should be able to sponsor him, even figuratively speaking. Just okay, we want him to compete.
Usually letters like that help. A letter from the Pro League, a letter from the Mr. Olympia.
Jay, can you help?
I don't know how I would. I don't know how he starting.
I don't know how he would. I don't know if. I know.
It's nothing like putting somebody on the spot.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's an angle, and if that's the way Hani said it, then
that's exactly how he said it.
So he probably sponsored him he's sponsored by a U.S. company.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, let's move forward. I just said I love Behruz. He's like such a great guy and such a phenomenal bodybuilder, and.
He would do very well.
He looks good. I just saw some video or something.
Just give him a chance to compete, my God. So how hard is that somebody from the top in Federation can make a move and say, look, he's qualified, here's the invitation, whatever else you need. Get him appointment. Because right now it looks like he's going to wait for a few more weeks and then it's going to be too late.
Yeah.
Let's talk about 212.
Yeah. You're causing ruckus.
Yeah, okay. So
I saw something on this.
Yeah, there was actually Lee Priest that started in one of the podcasts. He says, sorry. Best double bicep ever. Yeah, there's a license.
I got a nasty WhatsApp
From Lee?
video.
From Lee, I got to say.
Lee, we love you, dude. Once again, I said this on Jaywalking because he ate the Kentucky Fried Chicken on the floor of Max Muscle a week before the Mr. Olympia and didn't care. We love Lee Priest. He was really mad that we didn't talk about the greatest front double biceps ever.
Time, yeah.
But when we were talking about it, and I messaged Lee and said this, we were talking about the best front double biceps of a Mr. Olympia. That's why we didn't bring up Lee.
No,
yes, we were. Because we
But
talked about Arnold
We
and
also,
Ronnie.
he said we didn't mention him on the podcast. I thought we talked about bringing him on the podcast.
Oh, no, of course. Yeah, whenever
No,
he comes.
but who we want to have on.
Oh,
Didn't
well,
we
of
say
course,
Lee?
Lee. Yeah,
Didn't we say
absolutely.
Lee?
It was his birthday, too.
We didn't even say Flex Lewis.
No, we just didn't. No, we didn't. We probably missed a lot of people. Yeah. Lee is one of the few that we really, really, really want on here. Yeah. We just got to do it when
so
he.
Lee,
when he
you're invited. Next time you're in Vegas.
He says he's going to make a trip over.
Listen,
Yeah?
Milos will pay for your flight. He's got a credit card that needs some. That's got some room on it.
Look at you two businessmen. Yeah.
Okay,
so no money.
But yeah,
tell me straight up. What do you think about 212?
I think that should. This is the question that Lee Priest answered. Like, yeah, we don't need a 212 class. No. You should just, compete in open. There shouldn't be classes. And I said, no. Wait. 2008, I think Bob Cicarilla brought that for a reason. It's there for a reason. It gave a platform and a possibility for all the other guys that could not be competitive at open division to have their place. And this is how it was from the very beginning. Okay, so Lee was against it. I was for it. I said, Lee, you would dominate that class. So you could have been 212 Mr. Olympia, not Mr. Olympia.
What did he say he weighed?
199.
Yeah, from 199 at the shows when he was beating Chris Cormier in San Francisco and whatever. And I think the heaviest, he said it was 220.
218.
Yeah.
I listened to it
Yeah,
today. I was listening to your guys'
right.
podcast.
Okay, but
here.
you want to be the best in the world, Milos.
Yes, but when you cannot be best, here's the question. Because, you mentioned that, here it is. That Flex Lewis told you directly that he believes he will win Mr. Olympia, right? So he's telling Mr. Olympia 4 times, that he would have do the same.
Of this era.
This era, that, whatever era.
Listen, I think if any time the 212 diminished, it would be now. Is a wide open door. Because listen, think about it. And I'm gonna ask a question. So Sean Corrida is unbelievable, right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna ask you a question. Who has potentially more potential in the open class? Okay, Sean or Keon Pearson?
Keon Pearson.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. Keon Pearson can beat Sean Clarita this year for sure. I mean, let's face it.
And can he be Hottie? Can he be William Bonnick? Can he be Derek Lunsford, who've now stepped forward and are front runners? Bonnick was second, bro.
Yeah.
Derek was second and Hottie won.
Keon would be super competitive in any lineup. But here's the question. Angel Calderon and Sean Clarita were qualified for both open and 212. They were given a chance to just choose one, and they rightfully so chose this one. Why? Because they understand they would not be competitive here. That's the only reason.
You don't know till you try.
No. This is why I want to say, let's call a spade a spade. 400,000 possibility, 50,000. I'm going to go for 50. You believe in yourself, you're going to go for 400. So that already determines you believe in yourself, you really think you can be open competitors, you enter open. That's what Hadi did because he was qualified for both, winning Vancouver Open. He beat Jan Valier and Diasha and everybody, right? Okay. So he had a chance. You remember when Hani and him were deciding, You have to enter one. They had confidence. They can be very competitive.
I remember Hani doing a video saying, he said, I want to compete against the best in the world. I'm going to the Open. I don't want to do 212. That's what Hadi said.
Yeah, my hat off to him.
And rightfully so, he could have won the 212 that year.
Yeah, and he could have won Open also. There was like argument for that. But Derek Lansford, the same thing, okay? He won 212, so he can stay at 212 and dominate and keep winning, or he took a chance to go to the Open. I mean, so we have to put this in perspective. So when you said that Flex told you that he could have, why didn't you enter? Why didn't you enter?
He was honest. He was trying to, but remember he had the stomach issue.
I don't know. Not for that, but
he
for the years
honest.
that he dominated.
I think Flex was kind of taking a moment, and we were talking like gentleman to gentleman. Mm-hmm. And he goes, man, he realized his window because of business and whatever else he had going on, family, had a son. Yeah. Like priority took over, right?
Oh yeah, this time there was not realistic that he would come back, and
but Phil Heath wasn't there anymore, bro. Like, yeah, let's be realistic. I mean, here you had arguably two of the most incredible look bodies. Like he would win the 212, and Phil would win the Open, and both were bubbly, like conditioned guys, right? Yeah. I mean, there were years when either one of them was iffy, right?
So you think that he could beat Phil?
Oh, no.
So speak English. Speak English.
No,
so I want to understand.
But if you look at the lineup, we discussed this. Who did Phil beat versus who did Flex beat? Yeah.
Phil beat 6 Mr. Olympias in his reign. Open Mr. Olympias.
And how many did Flex beat?
Well, let me just remind you of this one. I confirmed this with Bob Chikuro. 2008, when they had the first 202 Olympia. Winner and a runner-up, David Henry and Kevin English, won first and second place. Next day, they were competing at Mr. Olympia, placed 15 and 16. Okay? Smoked. Winner and a runner-up. Next day, so they're contest ready, they're in their winning condition, the best they can possibly be in this class. They came at Mr. Olympia, and that's their placing, 15 or 16. That's why they scratched it. That's bad idea.
Don't come into the Open.
Okay.
You have to do one or the other, right?
Yes. Also, the 2008, even Flex included, he was competing in, there was a couple of shows, Tampa and Europa, whatever. He entered the 202, and next day Open. The best he could place was like 7th, okay, at the Open. So this puts things in perspective. So when Lee Priest was saying, oh, I'm not for 212, you got to give them a chance. And Bob Chikuro said, most of the guys that turn pro 210 or under, and give them an outlet that they can compete with their equals. They can't go next to Ronnie and Jay and Monsters. They're 260, 70, 80, which you could see that Sean Clarita was clearly outmassed big time by top 5 at the Arnold Classic.
I have a question, though. If the 212 wasn't there, do you think it holds people back? Like if 212 wasn't there, would Flex have just kept growing, or would Derek have not spent 5 years doing the 212? Would he be Mr. Olympia already?
Yeah, Derek wasted a lot of time.
He did. Or did William Bonnick waste some time? Or did Hadi waste some? Like, would they have already been advanced? Are there other guys like a Keon or other guys that are on that border where they would have went straight to the Open?
We would have been talking about other guys at this point.
I mean, and to be fair, I mean, I heard from Flex that when he was like 228 and 230, he would look competitive, and he could have fight with. He believes he could have fight with those guys. Okay,
it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible because you have to squeak into the 212.
With who?
With all the guys that were winning, including Phil.
Mm-hmm.
None of these guys would touch Phil.
Sean Roden.
It's not close.
Of course, it's not realistic. I mean, when you look at the physical attributes and V-tapers and quality of the muscle and size and thickness.
Phil Heath, honestly, could have been one of the most dominant Mr. Olympia winners of all time.
One of course.
I think Ronnie Coleman had a lot of people closer to him.
Well, Kai was close to.
I think a lot. Ronnie, you think he's unbeatable? I don't look at like. You heard. I mean, Kevin 2000. I mean, he could have challenged him. 99. Cormier, Flex. I mean, I mean. There's a lot of years.
There's a couple years where Ronnie dominated.
Think about Phil Heath, who really challenged him. Like
Kai. I mean, listen. To be fair, I was not in the country at that time, so I didn't see it live.
I don't feel. I love. Listen, I love Kai, but Phil just.
Phil smoked everybody. Yeah. Towards the end, obviously, the last couple of years. When he had some injuries and stuff, then Sean came in there.
Dexter pushed him. I mean, we talked about Rami could have, like, if you looked at
2017, Rami could have. But
you still, there's nothing like, you're still looking at Phil's glute, hamstring, like, chords, and, like, the, back to, like, there's just crazy shit going on,
Yeah. I mean, listen,
but to go back to 212, like, listen, I'm never going to say take the division away and take money off someone's table. But definitely, it's not as popular as open. I don't think any division is. Truthfully, I know they talked about all these divisions. So Classic's going to come up, and
it's not going to happen.
Women's wellness is going to come up, but we still sit here and talk about the men's open like that seems to be the topic of media.
You know why it is, and we've all talked about this. There's 17 people that have earned the right to call themselves Mr. Olympia. People get mad at me all you want. If you don't win the Open, you're not Mr. Olympia.
That's
period.
That's
period. There's no, and I know some people will. And I saw Dan Solomon put a post up saying this. The reality is, if you win another class and you call yourself Mr. Olympia, you're disrespecting him and every other person that earned it. That said, I'm not doing any of these other divisions that have restrictions, whether it's height or weight. I want to compete with the best of the best, just like Hottie did, just like Derek Lunsford is now doing. So the other people that call themselves Mr. Olympia, you didn't even compete in the Mr. Olympia.
I don't feel like a lot of the champions used that. They abused that title. I think it's more the media that confuses it.
Yeah, I think so. But you should correct them.
Well, I know, bro, but what are you going to say? Oh, I'm standing here with Mr. Olympia, and what are you going to say? Well, wait a minute. I'm a classic, or I'm a men's physique, or I'm a bikini.
Okay, let me ask you something. If you're the CEO of a company, if you're not the CEO and someone says, I'm sitting here with the CEO of such and such company, you're not going to say, I'm not the CEO.
You know what?
I'm the VP.
You know what it falls back on? Yeah. The creation of the name.
Of course. Yeah, it should. You're right. But I think it comes back to the Olympia itself, protecting that name.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
like,
100%.
Then don't call it. Didn't they call it something?
It was the 202 Showdown.
That's what it is. Exactly.
You're the Showdown. Yeah. Yes.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't even know when it converted into 212 Olympia champion. I mean, I don't know how they actually changed it from 202.
Does it say Mr. Olympia? 212 Mr. Olympia? I don't even know what it. I don't even pay attention. So
yeah. It should be. I mean, listen, it is what it is. 212 Mr. Olympia.
It doesn't bother me like it bothers other people. Like, honestly,
classic Mr. Olympia.
I could care less if people want to say, oh, Mr. Olympia, because you kind of earn the right because you were giving that opportunity to be called Mr. or Miss Olympia Classic or men's. It comes from the beginning.
Yeah.
It just, as you was asking me, a lot of people get mad at me because I was talking to Lee Priest, and Lee Priest is prime example of, he was 212 hopeful that he could have competed. He didn't want to. He says he would never compete. He wanted to compete against the best. But hey, these guys are given a chance to, compete with their equals. They're not going to stand next to 260, 270 guy because you see what happened. And Calderon and Clarida last year, when they had a chance, they chose what they're competitive. They couldn't do nothing at the Open.
Yeah.
And that's why it's not realistic to say that the Open guys 212 guys can just switch. And
I think there's a hell of a lot of people that could roll into this Olympia this year in that 212 division and shake it.
Keon Pearson,
Keon looks unreal. Have you seen him? Or
yeah,
he lives here in Vegas.
I know.
Really?
Yes, he
lives in Vegas. He trains in Elevation.
He looks insane. Have you seen the pictures?
He looks ridiculous.
I've seen some pictures, but never paid.
Yeah.
Is he in Vegas? Well, Keon.
Yeah.
want to train legs?
Why don't you read too? Look at that's the happiest. Oh, really? Someone else I can torture?
Why do you want to train legs with all these guys?
Because I don't think they train legs hard enough. I mean, you know how we train.
Is that your thrill now to make people sick?
He likes to bully people.
Well, you were funny because you sent me Regan throwing up in the bucket.
Yeah.
You know, he sends this to me. He sends me a video. Here's Regan over the pail. And meanwhile, he's like, hey, do you want to come train legs? I'm like, get the fuck. You know, right.
Yeah, I want to throw up and feel like death.
But you know what it took you to build those legs, right? You know, so
he didn't train.
You want kind of little old school. Old school
No,
pain.
I did.
You know.
I remember the first time I went to Gold's Gym in Worcester, and Tommy Viglitori, he's no longer with us, so rest in peace, Tommy. But he was like literally adamant about, I'm going to show this youngster. And he made me throw up. And I said after that day, I never threw up again.
Ever.
Because I never pushed myself to that. That's, you know.
I threw up twice.
I would blame your protocol with all the carb drink and everything else before the training for him because he just can't digest it, right?
For sure. I even told I would never drink intra-workout for a leg workout. There's no way. You're going to puke, guarantee.
A lot of fluid, right?
Guarantee, you know. So I don't even give to Regan, but he used it that day. I don't know how many. Like
his legs
like
improved, Milos.
Yeah. I still want to, you know, more, but improve.
I like this. I like this coach because he's not like, oh, wait till you see him. And what do you think of Andrew Jacked?
I love Andrew Jack's
You
physique.
see what his updates look like?
I've seen from a kind of angle, so you can't really evaluate his real thickness and width.
What do you think about Hunter's looks?
Hunter looks crazy. Yeah, I think it's very.
You think he's improved a lot?
Way improved.
So we're going to see a good battle. I mean, we're going to be talking about when's Texas? What date is Texas?
It's the third weekend in August. I'm in the Brian Shaw Classic that weekend.
Okay. Are you going or are you not going?
No, probably not.
Said I would stop drinking cola Celsius, and here I am pouring that shot.
We'll see Andrew 2 weeks before that. Yeah. Because we're all at the Anaheim Fit Expo.
Oh, isn't he in Vegas now too?
No, he's in LA.
Oh.
Chris Lewis. Yeah. So he Andrew, Jay, Regan, Yarishna, everyone's at the Anaheim Fit Expo. Phil Heath will be there. And we'll get to see Andrew at that point. I'm sure he'll want
tomorrow or this weekend.
No, 2 weekends from now.
2 weeks.
This weekend we're in Houston for the American Fitness Expo. Next weekend we're in Mexico City for the Fit Weekend, and the weekend after that.
And that's D-Day.
He turns 50.
That's D-Day, bro.
You?
Well, Wednesday I turned 50, and then I.
Speaking of that,
the end of Fit for 50. You know?
Look at that! Look at that! You said that you're ripped right now, right?
Pretty ripped, yeah. Pretty ripped right now.
Yeah, let's see that one. Oh, Jesus, that's a cellophane skin. Look at that. Oh, man.
Are you that ripped?
Hell no. But how his back? Back was soft, but then you improved, right?
You'll
Look
see
at him
it.
there. Listen,
still feathers on the legs.
Imagine if you gave him all your insulin, what he'd look like right now.
Hey, hold on. Jay, yeah. Look at that. Oh, man. Feathers all the way.
Getting there.
Onion skin.
3 weeks left.
So
I wonder if we can get you a special invite.
Oh, hold on a second. Just a casual question. Did you ever use insulin in the last couple of weeks? Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
He uses as much as I have.
I got the confession. Twice a week?
He said he's used it twice, period.
Twice a week. Yeah. Twice this week.
Should he start?
Just like last time, he said, "Oh, I'm not taking any test. I'm on 2,800."
I gave blood today.
Check again.
Yeah, my my blood pressure was 124/60.
Very good.
And then my iron was 17.
But you didn't take a blood test for blood pressure.
Okay.
I
gave blood. I did a blood dump.
I took a picture of my blood test because. Mike Dolce died, right? He posted he's like 50 years old and he's like 113/70 or something. So that's about exactly what I am. So I took a picture.
For what?
Mike Dolce.
Yeah, no, but what 113 over what? For blood pressure?
70. Yeah. I'm the same
That's
way.
mine's usually 125 or 70.
My blood glucose is
Unless the only time
70
mine goes up, I've never had
milligrams.
blood pressure. Like when I was young, I did, but
only
when I fly.
Do you think blood dump is important, Milos?
If you have a high hematocrit, yeah.
But don't you think that people train?
Look at that. 112 over 69.
Yes, is that
And then one more,
accurate?
108, 58. Yeah.
He
I
photoshopped
always do 3 times.
Do you think
I'll do it
everyone?
anytime.
Do you think everyone should have a blood pressure gauge at home?
Yeah, they should, of course. Inspect what you expect, and better
Will
be.
you please tell our viewers and listeners that?
Well, listen.
Speak to 'em, please.
Just for checkups, everything that you should. I don't know how
It's
often
the
you
hidden
do
killer, right?
Yes, I mean, fortunately, I have a high blood pressure in the family, but I'm okay. High cholesterol, bad lipids and everything because of their eating habits. So genetically, I was maybe predispositioned for all that. I don't have it because I ate healthy and I have a healthy lifestyle and all this stuff. So my blood pressure, I say, okay, on the
Do you
back.
think the wine helps? How much wine do you drink? Be honest with me.
Okay.
Daily? I mean, a glass daily is good.
Twice, yeah, that's what
Bottle.
my father used to do. No, when I had it, I have a glass before I was doing it, but twice a week maybe.
it's
I
funny.
don't do it.
Every time we'd go over to eat when we watch UFC fights, there'd be as
We had
many
a photo
bottles. We'd have as many bottles as Celsius cans here, and Milos would eat.
You and Regan can drink. So
What do you mean?
don't be so innocent.
I have like half a glass.
yeah,
He
right.
gets a little
I don't
tipsy.
like wine. I don't know. I get blotchy from
You
it.
didn't drink when you were training, like
Never.
right
Never.
now.
I didn't even.
But a couple glasses a
consider
week
it.
is probably good for your
No,
blood
it is.
pressure.
It's great for. It's probably great for your
Yeah.
health. But so you think blood dumping is important? Like
If needed, listen. Of course,
some people, it's not needed, huh?
Of course, it's you. Everything in life you do is, if need be. If not, the contest prep. You're dry. Why would you take diuretic? You're lean. Why would you take fat burner?
Do you?
When why?
Do you have a lot of your guys take like a baby aspirin or anything?
Yeah,
Or
baby aspirin is good for everyone. I mean,
you think anyone that's training
everyone,
capacity?
sure. Always, it can only help. So for sure.
How
I did
big
it
is
for 10
Samson
years.
right now?
330. He sent the update video.
Why don't you show us?
Did you?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Did you think his back look improved on that back double bicep? I believe so.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
And what
I copied like about 1,000 photos lately.
Let me ask you a question, Milos.
don't know what is,
on Samson,
Mm-hmm.
if you could point out one thing that you told him to do between now and the Arnold for his back development, what movement would that be? I know you're going to say there's several, but what would you pinpoint his success so maybe someone along here can
He needs more width.
So you have him do pull-ups?
Yeah, he needs more width. So he doesn't do pull-ups. He's 330. He does pull-downs. I mean,
The pull-down's not the same as a pull-up.
yeah,
though.
I know. And I have to say that Regan is a freak. I mean, Regan
He can do pull-ups, no problem, huh?
No problem. I mean, beginning of the workout, the end of the workout,
Do you think
he's doing crazy.
If I was
wanna show
Regan,
you.
I would do pull-ups every single day.
But Regan's best body part is back.
I know, but
So
I would really.
You would still do it, yeah, because no matter how
I'm
good.
I'm going to say something.
Derek Lunsford has a crazy front double. I mean, his lats pop like crazy.
You know what you should do? You should have Samson come here the month before the Olympia and train with you. So he's here in
I
Vegas.
hope so.
Seriously. So if Samson, you hear that? That'd be great. Because it'd be good to have him around and get to.
Samson, I'm going to show them your video. Oh, I have to download again.
Don't show us the porn.
What is your confidence on Samson now versus what it was a month after the Arnold?
Look, Samson is constantly improving.
No one's talking about him winning the Mr. Olympia. Do you realize that?
Well, they didn't think he can win on a classic either, you included. He's 100% motivated. Derek Lansford, we talked to him 2 days ago, of course, believes that he's a front runner. And
Nick Walker's going to win, he said.
Yeah, of course.
Are you impressed?
I like them to
Are you
believe.
impressed with Nick Walker when you see him?
Yes, he is a freak. He has
He's massive.
Yeah, he
Do you
has
feel he's
improvements.
improved since the Arnold?
Yes, but it's a very similar physique that's going to still go against the similar physique that already beat him. and even not equally conditioned, it's way overwhelming.
Do you
and
think
Samson's going to be better.
think people are underestimating Hadi because they're not seeing him? But Derek right now, wouldn't you agree, is like people are talking about him being the front runner the most?
I think when I listen to everyone talking, all the different podcasts, everybody's talking about whether Samson can win or...
It's pretty impressive, dude.
His
arms are improved, too.
330.
They're talking about all these guys that can win, and nobody's saying, hey, you realize Hadi could have won the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Hadi's not going to be easy to beat. Now, are there people... He's not. And if he's 100%, I don't think anyone can beat him. If he's 100. Now, can one of these other guys squeak in there? We'll see.
Yeah.
Milos, there's not a lot this guy needs to do.
Look at that. So Samson is constantly improving.
Is this like a fake phone camera or?
No, come on. That's actually a bad footage, but I requested like, hey.
Did you see this?
I didn't see an update. Yeah. You see his back double biceps is wider. Right?
Still needs to improve though.
Yeah, he still,
compared to everything else.
Especially for, what's his name?
But
Derek.
once he gets conditioned, you know.
Yeah.
I do
Samson
think
is improving.
Yeah.
Samson is going to be one
His
of the wild cards.
calves are a lot bigger
because
now.
Calves are freaky. Hamstrings are freaky. Legs are huge.
Because if you look at the top three, they're all similar structure. And Samson is...
He's got a flat stomach for being that big, too.
Samson's the oddball.
Deep abs. I'm serious. He's 100% committed and motivated. Of course, Derek is, too. Derek is front runner. Hey, Derek won on
you got to see this video. Start it from the beginning because it's...
On a few judges' score sheets, he actually won. And he was not as conditioned as Hadi from the front and the side. And he still won, better shape than Hadi, right? Crazy V-taper and all that stuff.
He'll be over 300 pounds the way he looks now.
He was 296 last year. He's going to be over 300. Yeah. You see, that's 330.
And the weight means nothing, but he's in really great condition for...
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So... Just imagine all that stuff. Listen, he's 100% motivated. And like you, he believes he can win.
Yeah.
And a confident man is a dangerous man, you know, so.
Pretty impressive, huh?
Yeah.
He's going to be right
there.
there.
Scary, yeah.
Yeah, so even when you listen to.
So even when I look at this, like when you say, you know, he's got to improve his back, but it's going to be tough for any of these guys to beat him on any of the other shots.
Yeah.
Just being, I mean, okay, so
Bob
let's say...
Ciccarello says Mr. Olympia's won from the back.
I mean, okay, so let's say some of these guys beat him from the back. From the side and the front, and he's ridiculous.
We'll give you those two poses already.
Yeah, the thing is Derek's back is so strong.
Yeah,
That's where it's
you gotta give it to Derek. Has the craziest V-taper. And
I hate to not give Hadi credit because Hadi's pretty incredible too in a lot of shots, but Derek's got those back.
Well, Hadi's little weakness is from the back, right? Mm-hmm. The front and side is super dangerous. From the back, he didn't have the same kind of conditioning and detail like Derek. I agree. Nick Walker is crazy from back double biceps aspect, right? And has a crazy hamstring, and even though he positioned legs that I don't like.
Looking at this, I mean,
he's coming.
He could win.
All right, so do you foresee anyone in these shows? We just talked about how many shows, 6 or 9 or whatever.
More,
like
7 more.
So,
right?
Is there anyone besides Jacked and Hunter? We know those guys are going to be in the top 10. Do you foresee any future? What's going on with Good Vito now?
Yeah, I don't know if he's
obviously Raphael's out now. We talked about this the last episode, right?
Oh, is he? Yeah, I didn't know that.
Who else is not doing it? That was, I mean, Hollingshead's out.
So
Antoine Vallier is out.
Jan Vallier is not doing?
No, Antoine Vallon. What's it? How do you say his last name?
Vaillant.
I always pronounce these guys' names wrong.
Yeah. I have 2 good Brazilian guys that are going to be.
There's 8 more.
What about
Victor Buff
Phil
and Bruno Santos?
Phil Clahar is now qualified, and he's going to probably be a shoe-in for the Masters, right?
Yeah. He's dangerous. Of course, he's going to be Max Charles.
8 more shows.
He's going to be.
Max Charles is doing it. Are you helping Max again too?
I probably will.
But Kamal's doing 212, right? Is he back to 212?
He's going to do Open.
Oh, he is?
Masters.
Oh, I thought he was doing the 212.
Really?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I mean, there is a tooth file master, so maybe
Derek Farnsworth's doing it.
So what other big names have not qualified yet? Nathan Diasha, Regan.
You seen the update? Yeah,
Big.
Yeah.
What do you
Nathan,
think?
look.
Are you scared?
I've
or?
always,
I mean,
hey, listen.
I love Nathan's physique. He's super
listen.
competitive. Yeah.
Nathan, I think, has more show wins than anyone competing right now. He's got like 12 pro wins.
Yeah.
He's not a slouch at all.
Yeah, you didn't go to Prague, right? You didn't. You went from Egypt straight home.
I went straight to
In Prague, Nathan Diasha was in crazy condition.
He got third.
And still lost to Regan and Rafael. And no, he placed fourth.
Fourth. Yeah,
and
Regan got third.
And Samson. Yeah, so Nathan can be beaten, right? Is he dangerous? Hell yes. Yeah.
So Nathan,
I still think that he has a little bit longer
Regan
torso.
is Sergio. Who else we
What's
missing?
happening with
Hunter.
Sergio? You
We
said
brought him up last night.
Yeah.
You and I were
Hunter.
texting, and I said it's a travesty if he doesn't get in the contest.
But he said that he has a trouble.
No, I don't know where he is. I thought
I
he
don't
was
know where
in
he's
Brazil
either.
last, but
I'm not sure either.
Yeah,
Haven't
he's
spoke to him in a
he's
while.
I haven't asked Chris.
under the radar, right? I don't know.
So you got him. You still got Andrew Jack. You still got.
like, is Kuklo going to do it, or is he done?
I don't know.
Yeah, Cutler should for sure.
He's big still.
What about Charles Griffin?
Yeah, I think that Rodriguez is going to
Justin Rodriguez?
Justin's doing a Reno show.
Okay. That's, I mean, he did the show last year.
Yeah, play second.
Not sure.
Yeah, I hope not. Jesus, Brandon, that's
Brandon Curry. No one said a word about him.
yeah. What's
We're
happening?
not even
I don't
talking
know.
about him.
Yeah,
I mean, probably he's just been very quiet. So we'll
He's
have
going
to
to show up his best ever, probably.
I hope he's still competing. Because he's such a phenomenal bodybuilder.
If he shows up his best, can he win the Olympia again?
Yeah.
Something.
You see, there is so many guys that can be super competitive. Derek was, full of confidence a couple of days ago, rightfully so. He was so close, and he's way improved. He says he's way bigger right now, and already see the chest is much fuller and more dense. So he's going to be dangerous. Did you see your Russian pictures with Rani? I posted them on Instagram. I found good ones.
I haven't looked yet.
No?
I was busy today, so.
Yeah. I took those, you remember?
Yeah. Ronnie was big here, huh?
Monster.
Oh, yeah, it's good times.
Yeah.
The Russian.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the Rocky IV thing.
Yeah, you didn't go next year. Ronnie went
Yeah, I didn't go to next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was on desktop. We'll have
That's
to
what I'm
look it
looking
up.
at. Yeah, I'm not finding it.
Oh, well.
All right, so did we wrapping it up, or?
Yeah, we're wrapping it up. Until next time.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
We'll see how much
Until
hate
after
mail
the
you
Chicago.
get. We'll see how much hate mail you get.
Yeah. I'm
So
gonna get
this
it.
week in Chicago,
Yeah, who do you estimate? Blessing, De La Rosa, or Justin?
I don't want to. I hate predictions, but I think Blessing definitely has a good shot. But I think Justin's going to shock some people.
Yeah.
I'd love
Justin
to see
could.
Patrick.
I haven't seen anything from De La
Patrick,
Rosa. Yeah, I haven't seen.
Yeah.
I want to call him tonight and say, hey, I didn't know you were doing the show.
yeah,
I feel
good
bad because he's a close friend of mine. I didn't know he's doing the
Who
show.
told you he was doing it?
It's on the list.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I knew. I looked and went, what?
He didn't even call to tell you, "Hey, I'm doing."
No, I mean, I just, we get busy and stuff, and I haven't
Yeah.
spoke to him. I knew he was wanting to do a show. I just didn't know which one he was doing just yet. So,
All right.
alrighty. Until
Appreciate you guys.
Until
time.
next episode. If you have any hate mail, please send it directly to Milos. I'll post his phone number.
Yeah.